Hello and welcome to my rundown of video games based on the best action film of all time, Die Hard, yeah! And there's a nice selection of genres on offer with a huge variation in quality and how much we stick to the source material. Off-duty cop John McLane's epic chance face-off against a truckload of bad guys in the high-rise Nakotomi Plaza. It's a classic I never get tired of. There's crazed madman Carl, safecracker Theo, Fritz, ponytail rocket dude, red shirt, Chinese chocolate bar face, and of course, all the boys, and the main man, Hans Gruber, played so superbly by the late Alan Rickman. And here are the 6 titles in chronological order. We've got Die Hard on MS-DOS from 1989 by Dynamix, Die Hard on PC Engine 1990 by Nihon Bussan, Die Hard NES 1991 from Pack-In Video, Die Hard Arcade 1996 Sega, Die Hard Trilogy from Probe, released the same year, and Die Hard Nakotomi Plaza from Piranha Games in 2002. I'm going to run through them now from worst to best, so sit back, relax, and see which of them are still worth playing today.
Welcome to the party, pal!
Now there's a good reason why I didn't say last but not least for Nakotomi Plaza, because that's what we start with, surprisingly. First person shooter, PC exclusive, with both graphical capabilities and the genre as a whole, continuing to break new ground in 2002, and brilliant source material to work from as well. What can possibly go wrong? Well, pretty much everything, I'm afraid.
That's the party. They're the only ones.
First impressions are promising, with the game following the film very closely, as you can see, with nice attention to detail. There's even the guy Carl kills with that hockey puck stun grenade making the rollie. And what's even cooler is Ellis is present. The man, the legend, is here with us in polygon form.
Ellis, I want you to meet John McLane, Holly's husband. He's a policeman.
But unfortunately, once the bullets start flying, it quickly becomes apparent the game has multiple problems, and the feeling of growing disappointment was similar to playing Aliens Colonial Marines for the first time. The game is essentially a collection of repetitive and uninspiring corridors with an occasional basic puzzle thrown in to try and break the monotony. Once you've cleared a few levels, a strong sense of deja vu sets in.
It's locked.
Unit 3, get your asses behind the perimeter. You're throwing fire.
Come out to the coast and get together, have a few laughs.
There is also vents, a lot of vents, which you use one dodgy looking lighter flame to see. That's if you can squeeze into them in the first place, that is. There's also so many locked doors, you wonder how the literally hundreds of shambling bad guys you mow down get around in the first place.
Locked.
Especially with AI like this.
There's no way, security guard. Hey, check this out.
Other technical issues include rubbish hit feedback. The satisfaction in shooting your enemy is minimal, especially when you land consecutive headshots like this with no reward. Your muzzle flash blocks a crosshair as well on some weapons. I discovered afterward I couldn't actually kill these guys yet, and I had to go round them to initiate a set piece in which police snipers shoot them. There's nothing to suggest this to the player at any point. Examples of bad game design are regular and immersion breaking. Dead enemies disappear almost immediately as well, which is surprising, to playing relatively ancient shooters like GoldenEye recently and watching the bodies pile up. With so many issues, the only thing that kept me going as a huge Die Hard fan was to see how closely it continues to mirror the film for novelty value.
The fire has been called off, my friend. No one is coming to help you. You might as well come out and join the others.
There's an occasional stage that moves away, such as rescuing limo driver Argyle from the car park, but in general the game goes to needless lengths to stick to the source material. Hans and John's radio conversations and many scenes from the movie are adapted word for word.
Now, I have a machine gun. Ho, ho, ho.
But sometimes what's actually said has no context in the game, or is just pure gibberish.
Brother is dead.
He's mine now.
You'll have it.
You'll have what? In the film it goes,
You'll have it.
which actually makes sense. I mean, if you're going to follow the film so closely, at least have some form of quality control.
You can tear the building apart looking for this man, but until then, we do not alter the plan.
And if he alters it?
1.
The cutscenes themselves are really stilted anyway and hampered by generally poor voice acting, which is funny as well most of the time. But often, they're just plain shoddy. Look at this. Takagi's impending brain explosion hits the window before the gunshot. Come on.
You're just going to have to kill me.
Okay.
Let's check that again.
Get on the jet to Tokyo and ask the chairman. I'm telling you, you're just gonna have to kill me. Okay.
This may seem like I'm being picky, but it's just the same principle as noticing an amazing game's attention to detail. I was determined to see this guff through to its conclusion, but the game wouldn't even let me do that. After I met Hans face to face as Bill Clay, which was rubbish by the way, like the rest of the game. I mean, there's no reason why I couldn't have shot him here. Doesn't he have his gun raised properly and he's threatening me? Well, I've got a submachine gun. And also he's asking for detonators I don't have yet. I can guarantee there's none in my inventory and I wasn't informed I'd picked any up. The game just being out of context again.
But what do you want with the detonator?
Anyway, after this point your feet get damaged really badly like the film, so you need to find some first aid before you bleed out. The thing is, I didn't have enough health to reach that point, and the game gave me only one autosave, which is at the start of its sequence, which meant I was stuck forever in gaming purgatory, unable to either move forward or back.
Sorry to waste your time.
Also, this must be the only game in history ever that gives you game over for killing the boss, shooting instinctively as you do. Shove this game. So that was me done with it. There's no reason why in 2002 a decent Die Hard first-person shooter couldn't have existed. It was such a disappointment all around, which is why it's at the bottom of my list. It was a struggle to come up with anything positive to say about it really. But I mean, you do sound barefoot when you walk, which is quite a good attention to detail. The three-pronged health system you can see bottom left has heart and lungs, which is self-explanatory. There's also a brain signifying an innovative morale meter, which affects how difficult enemies are apparently, but I'm not sure it made a difference myself. Oh, and Al Powell is the real voice actor, Reginald Vell Johnson, which is cool.
This is 8 Lincoln 30. Come on in, over.
But ultimately, Nakotomi Plaza is a mess, yet with myriad problems, a mighty disappointment. Could have been a golden eye, but it's Perfect Dark Zero instead. Absolutely an opportunity missed.
Almost done. The charges will disable all the elevators except for the service elevator. Make it quick. Hans wanted this done already.
Shut up.
On to number 5 of 6 then, Die Hard on PC Engine. I've been meaning to get into this platform for ages, and obviously one game doesn't make a console, but first impressions are not good. Game loads up, yeah, alright, Die Hard, let's do it. And the first level's in a jungle. What? Because this is my favourite part of the film. What is going on here? It's just got in the wrong limo at the airport. I mean, the extent of foliage in the film is this. Or this. The game itself lacks a zip or adrenaline you usually associate with a run and gun genre, playing like an inferior version of the excellent Commando. Used to love that on Spectrum. You just kind of mince along to a plodding soundtrack of finding big holes and shooting what appear to be security guards with a standard rifle, and of course your magic purple rocket gun, standard. However, if you thought that was the end of it, stage 2 is more jungle than ever before, as you wade through a swamp patrolled by more security guards and cars with missile launchers. You reach the Nakotomi building by stage 3, but the corridors are some form of Lost Wood style maze that returns you to the start if you don't choose the right way. By the 3rd or 4th attempt my interest was completely shot.
I don't like this.
Such an odd game, yeah, with several gameplay and design choices feeling completely out of place. It's as if the developers are making something completely different and has changed it to a Die Hard game at the last minute. You know, trust there are better PC Engine games out there. Time for some textbook MS-DOS madness next at number 4 on our list. It's a funny one. These 3D graphics would have blown me away as a kid, so far beyond what was possible on a console in 1990, so it gets points for that. There's also a Commodore 64 version that's 2D due to technical limitations, and thankfully you start in the building, jungle-free zone, even if it is in the toilet, but you've got a gun, and all is well except for a lack of music once you figure out how to move. But the controls generally did elude me, as you'll see shortly. and what the hell to do. After a while roaming the corridors, I confronted my first enemy, and this happened. So I had another go. I met a different gentleman this time. What is going on? I managed to get my gun out that time, baby steps. This pattern continued until I learned to fight back. No more bullying. Come on, we are in business. Eat lead, creep. Yeah. Nice. Wave your gun from side to side. Newfound confidence aside, I still couldn't figure out what to do with the stuff in my inventory, and the marker top left took me to this locked door I couldn't find a key for love nor money. So after seeing a ghost, I found myself in the toilet once more. I took a long hard look in the mirror, came to the realisation John McLane and MS-DOS is a tiny little black guy. Look at him, next to stuff. So small. Bless him. I had fun with this game despite its complications. It's goofy and it made me laugh. It reminded me of the old Spectrum by mystery cassettes from car boot sales, playing them, not knowing what the hell was going on. Generally moving around like this for a bit, pressing all the buttons, getting killed a few times, then just trying the next one. Good times, man. Next up is our first sample of the tastiest meat in this collection. Number 3 on the list is Die Hard on the NES. A surprisingly good game which turned out to be much more than the generic movie game I expected. Following the film closely, the objective is to rescue your wife and clear floors 31 to 35 of terrorists, which you can move between at will from the start using the stairs, lifts and vents. The story progresses in real time as Theo works his way through the Nakotomi Vault's locks, adding a sense of urgency to proceedings.
3 down, 4 to go!
Don't waste time talking to me.
The terrorists simply escaping because you didn't get them all in time is one of several possible outcomes and variations to the story based on your actions. Sounds promising, right? So how does it play? Well, it's very hard in whichever difficulty you choose, and there's trial and error involved to figure out the best way to go about things. Controls feel a bit stiff as well, especially with the waves of bullets that come your way. I don't see why the bullets couldn't have moved in the normal fashion. But whether the initial storm and the satisfaction to be hard surviving your latest confrontation, especially as we only have one life, every firefight is hard won. It's kill or be killed, man. The sound of an arriving lift often heralds danger, just like the film, which is one of many nice nods to the source material. Came across this too. Apparently you can use it to escape the FBI helicopter like the amazing bit in the film, but that opportunity didn't arise on my playthrough. There's 2 health meters, one generic, replenished through vending machines at enemy drops, and the other is foot power, which affects how fast you can run due to John McClane's lack of shoes in the film, of course. Depletion with use means dash must be utilised tactically. Going over broken glass is especially damaging, but you can find a bathroom to sort yourself out, again, just like the film.
Pal.
But sadly there's no opportunity to turn briefly Irish.
Tell her that,
I wondered for ages too why I was continuously enveloped in darkness until I realised it's your line of sight, which again adds to the sense of danger, another cool idea. With all this in mind, it's a shame the graphics aren't exactly brilliant, especially for a late life NES game, and the audio is plain poor. The gun sounds are farty and the music's uninspiring, if you haven't noticed already, despite changing dynamically when you come across bad guys. It's weird because you're treated to a lovely 8-bit version of Ode to Joy when Theo cracks the last lock, which is far better than any of the in-game music and disappears like a mirage 30 seconds later. Take out enough of the bad guys and you'll be prompted to confront Carl and Hans in a final showdown. Here's Carl sporting a distinct sprite and loads more health and bullet power than regular enemies. It's hardly a brutal film fist fight.
squeal, I broke his fucking neck!
But it'll do considering the dead end I got to in Nakotomi Plaza. With Carl down, there was only standing between me and Harley, and what a tense face-off it was too, considering how claustrophobic his room was and how little health was left. Proper fist bump moment when he went down, especially after what must have been about a 10th attempt at finishing this damn game. Hands can fall out the window too, but again that's one of several variables that didn't happen in my playthrough. So boasting non-linear, real-time gameplay and variable events and endings, this game is notably ambitious, especially when the NES's considerable collection of terrible movie tie-ins is taken into consideration. Die Hard on the NES has flaws, but it far exceeds expectations, essentially playing like an interactive version of a film, making it especially enjoyable for fans. And some nutters have actually remade the game and titled it Die Hard Special Edition, tweaking the gameplay and improving the graphics. Check the description for a link. So there's two very good games left, and number 2 on my list is Die Hard Trilogy, probably the most widely known title in his collection. Featuring 3 games in one, each is based on a movie from the original trilogy with a different genre in each. Die Hard with a Vengeance as you're driving around using explosives against the clock. Die Hard 2 is an on-rail shooter. What we're looking at is Die Hard, which offers fast-paced, third-person action as you battle terrorists and rescue hostages floor by floor. John McLane's soundbites and a pumping soundtrack. It's full of our early PlayStation swagger. Here's the game in a nutshell.
Ah, that's better.
Hit it again.
Happy trails.
Hit it again.
Nice. Happy trails. Best Christmas bonus I ever got.
Hit it again.
And if your adrenaline wasn't pumping enough, each level ends with a frantic dash to defuse a bomb before you arrive at the next floor, and the carnage starts over again. The controls feel good as you strafe and roll to avoid enemy fire, as well-judged nods to the film keep you ticking along, including the use of Carl's beast rifle, the Steyr AUG, his hockey puck grenades and props like the Pacific Courier van we saw earlier, and the ruined police ABC here recently rocketed by naughty men. What's really cool is that there's more to it than bloody rampages. Like its NES counterpart, a terrorist tally provides a sense of progression, capturing the film's against all odds spirit. Once you're a few levels in, you can no longer stroll around like Arnold Schwarzenegger in a police station. You have to start thinking about ambushes and using the environment to survive. There's 19 levels, so it does turn into a bit of a slog, but there's nothing wrong with the game being excellent in small doses, plus the magic of memory cards has arrived, so you can always return later after playing one of the equally full-on games in the package. A slight disappointment is the fact that the end bosses are neither Carl or Hans, which is strange as Simon Gruber's the end boss in Die Hard with a Vengeance, so we miss a trick there. Also, obviously the technical limitations are glaring today, rippling polygons and a view distance that can't be jungle fogged away like Turok. It seems the NES game's field of view was an artistic choice unlike here. So a remaster would be nice I think, better graphics, a free aim perhaps, improved enemy AI, and there we go. Which sounds weird as I'm saying if this game had better graphics, controls and AI it would be good, but it plays really well regardless, it's just no nonsense, blood-soaked arcade action, which doesn't mess about.
Kick ass.
So the Die Hard game that's top of the pile then is an all-time favourite of mine from the creator of classics like Golden Axe and Alien Storm, and the first in the genre to use texture map polygon graphics, the brilliant beat-em-up Die Hard Arcade. Known as Dynamite Decker in Japan, but released as a licensed Die Hard product to the rest of the world due to striking parallels to the film, though it's too similar to have not been influenced by the film in the first place surely. If you like the sound of a 3D beat-em-up with the feel of Virtua Fighter and a move list to match, then you're in for a treat, especially if you're a fan of a genre who's run out 16-bit titles to play. The terrorists are taking over a skyscraper as usual, intent on stealing vast riches from the vault, but the president's daughter and not your wife is the focus of your heroics on this occasion.
Someone help me!
The gameplay has an exaggerated wrestling feel with over-the-top physics and satisfying connections to your attacks. You just need to batter everyone you see using that huge moves list at your disposal, and anything else to hand from grandfather clocks to tables and chairs. The earliest example of quick-time events I can remember break up each stage as well, while each one is visually appealing and populated by a wide variety of enemies. One minute we'll be jumping water cannons to fly and kick firemen, the next fighting purple robots, and then a 9-foot nutter with an equally huge fish in the background. I can't believe I didn't notice that before because of the money I spent on this in the arcade. The most endearing thing about the game is how plain daft it is. There's only a few small nods to the film, like this at the very beginning, which shows this list has gone from one extreme to the other. A rubbish game that follows the film closely to an excellent one which wasn't intended to be a Die Hard game in the first place. I mean, how can you not love fighting a shirtless samurai sword wielding hands alike on the roof of the building, or blowing people away in toilet cubicles with anti-tank rifles, or trying to avoid slipping on toilet rolls at the same time? When you talk about great beat-em-ups, Die Hard Arcade's rarely mentioned, at least not in comparison to 2D classics like Streets of Rage, possibly because it's 3D, and you don't scroll sideways with an arrow prompt telling you to go the right way, like conventional titles. Regardless, Die Hard Arcade for me is the most underappreciated beat-em-up around, where I've done the best of them on gameplay terms alone, Streets of Rage 2 included. Perhaps the cheesy music and blocky graphics stop it from being so fondly remembered, I'm not sure. I mean, when I was a kid, I saw this as a natural progression of a genre, but suddenly they dried up, except for the odd one like Fighting Force, which is inferior to this in every way. I guess gaming at the time was using the move to 3D to create more intricate experiences as opposed to arcade button bashers. And to my surprise, I discovered it was remade on PS2 as part of the Sega Ages collection, with updated graphics and identical gameplay. I much prefer playing the original again, as the graphics denote a distinct period in gaming history. You can spot a Sega arcade game from this era a mile off, and I just love the look. The new graphics are incredibly generic and could belong to 1,000 PS2 games. Die Hard Arcade is available on MAME, Sega Saturn and PS2. Whichever version you choose to play, do make time to discover or revisit what is arguably the best beat-em-up ever made. And there you have it, sir, every game I could find based on the original movie. There was one cancelled for the N64 but looks better than Nakotomi Plaza. Check the description link for that. You can also play it if you're technically minded. If I missed any others, let me know. And I come to realise, yeah, we're long overdue a new Die Hard game, however unlikely that may be, taking the positives from this collection wherever possible. Imagine a short and non-linear 3D Die Hard game with realistic stealth and action elements that follows the film closely. You'd have one life, yeah, and the game's path and ending would change depending on your actions, such as killing terrorists and rescuing hostages. Even your interactions with hands on the walkie-talkie or doing things at certain times like getting the C4 detonators could affect the outcome. I'm thinking of a mix between Deus Ex, Firewatch and Rainbow Six. You can only dream. I'd be on it like a tramp on cold chips. Thank you for watching, yeah, it's been great putting this video together, immortalising my love of Die Hard and games forever on the internet. Let me know what you think in the comments and consider subscribing if you enjoyed. See you later.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.